My name is Lennox Califungwa. We are at Fight Laugh Feast 2025, and I am alongside my friend Chad Jackson.
How are you?
Good, very good. Good to see you again, Chad.
You as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute, indeed. So good.
Do you get any flack from the podcast that we last did?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Tons of it. Yeah, you got me into trouble on that one.
Well, that was my aim. That was my aim.
Yeah, that's your aim.
I went into it
Sabotage
saying
your friends.
if I can get Lennox Califungwa into trouble, I would have accomplished.
You've accomplished it.
Yeah.
Well, mission accomplished. Outstanding job. Excellent. Flying colors. That's what you got there, Chad.
Nice.
Do you like getting into trouble?
I don't actually.
Yeah.
I don't. I usually just take it one day at a time.
Sure.
And this is going to sound very self-aggrandizing.
Sure.
But I promise I don't mean it in this way.
Yeah.
But I just try to be faithful and just take it one day at a time and let the chips fall where they may. So.
Well, getting to know you, Chad, I firmly believe that. In fact, you strike me as a guy who would probably prefer to not be in the limelight as much.
Right.
I mean, sure, you're a great thinker, and the Lord's also just gifted you with all the things that would actually give you a platform. But yeah, you ooze humility, and that's something I greatly respect and admire about you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Likewise.
So when you're not making great controversial films and getting your friends into trouble, you actually are a very busy person. You're leading a family on one hand, but you're also in the trades.
Yeah.
And you're very good at working with your hands. And I just wanted you to speak to that a little bit. Like, what's the importance of people learning to be well-rounded individuals who don't only know how to think, but actually how to tangibly build?
Well, I mean, I think about the fact that the Lord told us to be fruitful and to multiply.
Yes.
And to have dominion over the earth.
Right.
And that's a task that we have to take seriously, not only from a theological point of view, but also from a practical point of view.
Yes.
And I was actually just having this conversation with my oldest son, Levi, the other day, because he asked me, he said, Dad, should I get into a trade or should I go work for somebody?
Sure.
That's a wrong question to ask somebody like me. And I told him, I was like, look, son, I was like, you should get into, I said, yes, you should get into a trade. You should start your own business. You should do all the things.
Sure.
So long as you have breath in your lungs, do all the things.
Right.
And what I meant by that is, and I told him, I was like, look, I said, think about Mr. Tony. He's a guy who is a friend of ours who does floors for a living. He has a business just laying floors.
Sure.
Think about Mr. Ryan. He owns the local barbecue joint, Ryan Siegler. If you're ever in Cedar Hill, by the way, shameless plug, check out Miha Barbecue.
Okay.
The best barbecue
absolutely.
in Dallas.
You had me at barbecue. Let's go.
But Mr. Ryan, he makes delicious barbecue. Think about Mr. Chad. He makes, he does shirts and screen printing.
Sure.
So all these people who your dad knows are into all these different things. And it's such a relationship that if we're exchanging services, half the time we don't even use money because we're just bartering, exchanging services.
That's right.
If anybody, any one of our friends needs some plumbing work done, I'm able to provide that for them in exchange for, my wife, she gets, adjusted by our chiropractor, and I go and service his water heater once a year.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so there's a lot of practical things that you can get out of just knowing a trade. And then too, you can use it as a vocation and make money.
Sure.
At the same time, you're to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength.
Absolutely.
A lot of people sleep on that mind part. You know what I mean? And so God gave us the ability to think, to reason, to discern, and not to just be unbiased consumers of narrative.
Sure.
And it's interesting because if you live in a place like the West, where you're told that you have democracy or a constitutional republic, where, the decisions are left to the people as to how they'll be governed, as to what trajectory they will move down, so on and so forth. People take for granted the fact that at the same time that you have that, you also have social engineers who are working diligently to shape public opinion.
Right.
In such a way that you think it's your idea But the reality is like, no, you're being
No.
conditioned to think a certain way, to have a certain kind of governance, so on and so forth.
Yes.
So I believe that in the same way God gave us limbs to work,
Right.
he gave us minds to think.
Right.
And we have to use every aspect of our being, not only for practical means, but also for the overall bigger grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yes.
So
Yeah, and it seems like in this day and age that tries to fragment those two things, you don't find many people who are trying to pursue that sort of holistic approach to life.
yeah.
Learning how to use what God has given you intellectually, physically, everything, you know. And I think that you are a great embodiment of all of that. Like, you're great with your hands, you're great with your mind. I mean, here you are shaking up America, like, you know, which, by the way, I want to start a campaign to name every street called Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue, Chad Jackson
I feel
Avenue,
like
or
you're
something like that.
sabotaging me right now in more ways than one. First of all, I assumed you wouldn't bring up Martin Luther King
I
during
was
this
trying
interview.
not to. That's as far as we're going to go with the Martin Luther King Jr. stuff.
Yeah.
But you know, I just wanted to throw that out there that we need to name more street corners after you.
No.
And you know,
No, I have no interest in being anybody's civil rights leader in any other respect. But
I don't know, man. I might use you for my own propaganda for that that sense.
No, but I do think it's interesting because
Yeah.
people tell me that they'll see these Martin Luther King streets
Yep.
begin to go away as more of the information.
I'm just saying, before you go
gets
any
out.
further, you're doing this to yourself right now. This is not even me anymore. This is you.
But I don't know that they will. I mean,
Yeah.
we do live in a society where, I mean, if you look at Martin Luther King,
Yeah.
there's a 40-foot statue
Sure.
of him in Washington, D.C.
Yeah,
There's a national holiday that recognizes him every year.
that's right.
And it's not just him. There's so many other figures that the secular society has lauded as heroes to emulate.
Yes.
But if you look at what they taught, what they believed, what they, preached, again, it's all geared toward the purpose of control,
Yes.
of
Yes.
setting us as citizens up against the knowledge of God.
Sure.
And so for me and my household, our purpose is to not only serve the Lord, but also to make Christ known.
So good.
And,
Yeah.
it's interesting to
Yeah.
get into the history.
Yeah.
So
I have a few interesting questions for you. Kind of changing topic for your sake, by the way. But I think there's going to be some overlap here. How much do you think higher education has played a role in propagating this kind of propaganda? I can guess what your answer is going to be to
Yeah.
that. But what does it look like to curb that? Of course, like I'm with New St. Andrews College. We're trying to produce the kind of graduate who is going to go on and shape great cultures, cultures that love truth, love beauty, love goodness. A big part of that is going to be teaching them the right kind of history.
yeah.
But to what degree have you thought about like how education has played a very big role in manipulating culture
Yeah.
to embrace all kinds of nonsense?
It's played a gigantic role. And of course, the more we get into postmodernism
Yep.
and modernity
Right.
and all the things, it only is playing more of a detrimental role.
Yep.
And the fact is, what colleges and universities were meant to be were institutions that basically reinforce the good, the true, the beautiful.
Yes.
And they've deviated so hard from that.
Exactly.
And so for
Yeah.
me, it's like, I think in many ways, what we're now seeing is inevitable
Yes.
to the extent, especially like in the aftermath of the Great Enlightenment.
Right.
This notion that we ourselves can, set ourselves up as gods and determine what is best for society or for the civilized world. What we're now seeing was inevitable. It's par for the course.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
And so what we see in the institutions and the academy and the universities and colleges is people getting together and thinking hard about how to make the world a better place.
Yes.
And they do all these experiments. I mean, I think I mentioned Elizabeth Bartholet
Yes.
last time I went on your show,
did. Yeah.
who's wanting to get rid of homeschooling. You see just a whole bevy of different ideas and notions. You see a lot of language that's used in the colleges and universities that in the grand scheme of things, or sorry, in the long term, make its way out into the culture.
Yes.
The word Latinx was started in the colleges and universities. African American is a term that they marched down the.
Wait, so Chad, you're not an African American? Huh?
I'm not an African American, but they marched down the campus of which was it? I think it was Stanford, actually.
Yeah.
Where Jesse Jackson, who helped coin the term African American,
Right.
was chanting a slogan along with 500 black students, which was "Hey, hey, ho, ho, Western Civ has got to go."
Wow.
And of course, they were talking about Western civilization
And Christianity by extension.
And Christianity by extension.
Yes.
And so when you look at African American, people ask me all the time about black culture and whether, are you familiar with New Christendom out of Utah?
Yes.
So they did a podcast here recently.
I'm aware.
Okay. But they were talking about black culture.
Yes.
And there was a debate that I guess occurred in the aftermath of that podcast.
Right.
Over, what is black culture and is it worth preserving?
Yes.
Are there good qualities or good redeeming qualities and aspects of black culture?
Yes.
And the question was put to me, and my response is no, there's not, because black culture was made for a political purpose.
Yes,
like its very inception is a political purpose. And people say, well, what about white culture? Well, there's no such thing as white culture.
Sure.
There's Western culture,
Exactly.
which is predominantly white.
Exactly.
And to the extent that you have a lot of woke ideology, this seeks to undermine and eradicate Western culture.
100%.
That's what black culture was made to do.
Yes.
If you look at family formation and entrepreneurship and home ownership and the way that it was trending for blacks prior to the 60s and the 70s during what I call the age of indulgence, this wasn't distinctively black culture or blackness, because you see evidence of the same kind of things happening with other ethnic groups.
Exactly.
And so they were getting their families together and being entrepreneurial and buying homes, not in the name of blackness, but because these were conventional things that one must do to become quote unquote successful.
That's right.
It wasn't until you see this kind of leaning into blackness in the late 60s, 70s, say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud, black and beautiful, everything black, blackity black, black. It's not until you get into that you begin to see this kind of plummeting. This kind of, now we're in a place where 70+% of black children are growing up in a single parent household or just being aborted. Where you have the incarceration and everything else that goes along with it. It's not until you lean into quote unquote blackness that you get this. And so what Jesse Jackson was doing in the 1970s and 80s with this insistence on we're African Americans, we're a subculture, we're, this thing that's set apart. You get all of the L's that come with it. Yes. And so I get what they were saying on the Christendom, New Christendom.
Yeah, and for the record, I think that they were hit much harder than they deserved.
Right.
Could they have said things better? Maybe. But by and large, they are real problems and real issues. Yeah. I agree with that. And something that I've heard you speak on, which I found really interesting and it doesn't get interrogated enough, is how this miseducation of black people is a recent phenomena. That wasn't always the case. You used to get really, really good black scholars. Yeah. And something changed, something shifted. One of the questions that I've had in my mind is, what does it look like to promote classical Christian education in inner city communities today? And is there a way in which we could actually draw a line between trying to propagate that way of thinking, classical Christian education specifically, and how black communities used to be educated before Marxism began to take a stranglehold on many black communities? Do you have any thoughts around that?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I don't know that there's a kind of one size fits all answer to that question.
Sure. Yes.
Because things tend to kind of take in some areas, whereas different things take in other areas.
Yeah.
From what I understand, like when I look into education amongst the black one-room schoolhouse dating as far back as the 1910s, 20s, and 30s, what you see is a lot of what you saw then is a lot of what you see now with, say, classical conversation. For example, a lot of repetition, a lot of music to teach the good, the true, the beautiful. a lot of facts and just basically this kind of rigorous leaning into the Socratic method
Yes.
and to teaching the kids
Yes.
logic and persuasive argumentation
That's right.
and all the things. But there was a very structured understanding of what is true versus what is false.
Right.
And I think that's transcendental. Like you can do that irrespective of what area you're in, whether
Sure.
you're in this urban city or that urban city. So that part is transcendental. But the way of going about it depends on many things, I think. And I'm not an educational professional. However, my instinct is that it depends on, in many ways, on the attention that children give in
Yes.
one area versus the other.
Yes.
What kind of staffing you have in terms of teachers and educators and things of that nature. But the basic tools are universal, I believe.
Absolutely. I believe the exactly same thing. People often ask me, like, why would you be promoting classical Christian education in Africa,
Right.
for example? Isn't it a very Western thing? It's like, no, actually, it's the reason. I mean, there's something to be said about how that's a means through which the West attained its freedom and its prosperity. But there's nothing tethered to skin color, for
Right,
example,
right.
or locale. Like, oh, the air is better in America than it is in Africa. No, classical Christian education is a reference to really appealing to what makes someone truly human, being made in the image of God, even more so redeemed by Christ, and harnessing the tools of truth, beauty, and goodness in order to build great civilizations, right?
Right.
Everyone has access to that, or like
Right.
everyone can learn that way.
Right.
And I think that's the way that we ought to think.
Right.
So
100%.
Chad, yeah, what's your next big project? What more trouble do you wanna cause in this world?
I have a lot of projects up my sleeve. So
Yeah.
I'm the founder of a company called Historia Revelata.
Yes.
It's a production company.
Yes.
And we are finishing up season 2 of the MLK project.
That's great.
I think we start rolling out season 2 next year, 2026, early next year.
Amazing.
But we also plan on doing a film called 2020 in Review, which looks at the chronological events in 2020.
Very good.
We're doing a film called The Abolition of the Family.
Very good.
We're doing one called FDR, or Debunking FDR, The Forgotten Tyrant. We're doing one on feminism called
Yes.
Votes for Women.
We've
The
needed
History
that
of
one.
Feminism.
We've needed that one.
So as you can see, we have a lot of different subjects that
Yes.
we're covering. For my primary heart and focus is classical students,
Very good.
homeschool families,
Very good.
and the general public downstream of that. But my concern, and this is the reason I started Historia
Right.
Revelata, is that when it comes to things like social justice movements, and when it comes to all these different things that have permeated society, unfortunately, what I've seen in many contexts is teaching of King and the civil rights movement as a genuinely good thing, and
Right.
and trying to somehow separate that from
Right.
cultural Marxism.
Yes.
Like, no, it's all cultural Marxism.
Exactly.
And that it's one thing for that to be my opinion and my belief. It's a different thing entirely to make the case as to how I came to that,
Very good.
that
Yeah.
belief. And so what filmmaking does is it allows me the space to like really flesh these things out, bring together the voices of those who have studied and have done the homework.
Yes.
And deliver it in a palatable way for people to retain the information,
Yes.
go and do the research themselves, and we begin to turn the tide, at least when it comes to the way that we educate our children.
So good. So good.
Yeah.
Chad, any ways that we can be praying for you and your family, you and your work in general?
Yeah.
How would you appreciate being prayed for?
Yeah, just God's continued protection and guidance, and for the resources to be able to carry on. So
good.
yeah,
Good. God bless you, brother.
thank you. Appreciate
So
it.
grateful for you and your friendship.
God bless you as well.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome.